good morning, and happy Monday. Ray, how you doing?
GM, feeling good, feeling good. Phillies advance another round, last one standing. Would have been wearing my Phillies gear, but I'm pretty sure Tom fires me on the spot if I do that.
Yeah, I was sitting, yeah, and I watched 18 innings of the Mariners, which was just horribly painful. The scoreless until 18. I was so recovering from that one still, just horrible. But yeah, my Seahawks won, so I'm feeling good. Overall, I think it's a net positive, and you get to just move on to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun sports weekend in general. Tough one for the Cowboys, good one for the Phillies. I'm feeling good as well. Always find the positives.
Right,
Um,
right. Well, guys, welcome to the WGMI Morning Show, episode number 24. In case you're just tuning in, this is your first episode ever. This is where we bring you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less, using WGMI's various tools and analytics to provide you some competitive advantage, provide some context on what this might mean for the overall market and collections, and hopefully help you make some money. But if you do like what you see, if you do like what we're showing you, DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial to use all of our tools risk-free. We give one trial away per show. And please remember that this is not financial advice, but some of the broader market stories we're going to cover today is Genuine Undead continuing its crazy run. It did dip a little bit. It's sitting at a 0.82 ETH floor. We're going to share where it might go going forward. And Magic Eden, I believe it was on Friday night, announced optional creator royalties for their platform going forward and a temporary waive of their marketplace royalties for a temporary period. So it seems like those marketplaces are moving. It's a little bit of that race to zero almost. But as always, we'd appreciate if you retweet the broadcast if you're listening on Twitter. If you are on YouTube, to subscribe, like, comment, let us know how you like it. We're live on YouTube as well if you're listening on Twitter at WGMIIO. So check us out there. But going forward, we're going to go into the newsroom and share the market snapshot for the day. So this is brought to you by our official newsroom account. This is where we bring you some of the news feed items that populate our feed. Just to provide you that additional context, and every morning we give you this report. Nihilings is leading the NFT volume or the OpenSea volume for the last 24 hours. They'd have 3,600 sales. They're sitting at a 0.12 ETH floor. They're 323 ETH in volume. Genuine Undead, like I was saying, is sitting at 0.83 ETH. They did 268 sales. The listings are starting to creep up a little bit, so it will be interesting to monitor that, how it behaves. Other side coming in at 1.71 ETH floor, 52 sales, listings creeping up again. We're seeing a lot of red on the listing side, so we typically like to stay away from any time we see that. ENS and then CryptoPunks rounding up the top 5 with Punks only having 3 sales. Ranga dipping once again. They're sitting at 1.7. Listings staying relatively steady, but the 7-day listings looking a little bit better with 19% listed. You still want to see that going down a little bit. Kitaro, I'm seeing that I'm at 0.3, so they must have pumped a little bit over the weekend. Listings going down there, which is encouraging to see. And Clone X sitting at an 8.5 ETH floor with 10 sales over the last 24 hours. Ray, over the weekend, and as you look at this chart in the dashboard, did anything stick out to you? Any big takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I was touching grass all weekend, and it's great coming in Monday morning, being able to look at the charts, see what the numbers have been doing, see what's going on. I mean, the first things that jump out, looking at the top volume, you don't see those blue chip projects. You're seeing a lot of these smaller projects leading in volume. Also, none of these volume numbers are very large in general. Looking at them, you're looking at 345 ETH volume leading the way. Very low number, 8.3 million on OpenSea. In terms of overall volume on that marketplace is low. I know we generally see Sundays as, a slower day in the NFT market. Hopefully we can turn it around, pick up a little bit of volume this week, and kind of take a look and see what kind of catalyst we can expect. There's nothing, on the immediate horizon that I'm seeing that's going to generate a lot of buzz. We have the CloneX stuff kind of lingering. I don't know what's going on there. We have the Azuki VC information kind of lingering. I don't know if people expected that on Friday. We'll talk about that a bit more as we go through the news feed. Outside of that, it's kind of just wait and see. maybe take some shots on some of these smaller projects. We'll check our listing and floor price filters, see if there's a good entry point. Continue to research more of these patience plays, beans, oddities we've talked about a number of times. Monitor them, try to find an entry point. I think patience and having liquidity on the side is going to be key for these markets that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I did forget to cover. Yeah, 8.3 million in OpenSea volume is a new low that we've seen, I think, over the last 14, 15 plus months. So not great to see there, especially because last week we were thinking the opposite, right? It's like, hey, is it finally going to turn around? And then ETH is a little bit, it's in the 1300s, but it's kind of been staggering and hitting this point. Hasn't really had too much volatility per se, other than when it hit 1200 after the CPI report. So it is kind of encouraging to see that. But yeah, I mean, overall, not a great. I think a lot of people are possibly on edge because of the whole royalties. I know Solana was beaten on pretty badly over the last 3-4 days since those creator royalties were announced that they were going to be optional. So they're catching some heat for that, and we'll continue to monitor that as it plays out. But Ray, that's all I have for the dashboard, and I'll let you take it over with the news whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sounds good. I know Mondays are always very busy for us, so I'm going to be running through this newsfeed fairly quickly. I'll be touching on the points that stick out to me as the most important, most actionable. If you want to look at this deeper, make sure you visit our newsfeed. If you don't hold a pass, DM us the word newsfeed. One person a day will win a free trial. You can also mint our NFT right now. Minting at WGMI.io gives you access to all of our tooling, portfolio, newsfeed, data, analytics, charting, the whole 9 yards, wallet history, everything you need to make the right decisions on your NFT portfolio. Diving into the newsfeed, we have our curator summaries for our deeply curated ecosystem, starting out with Proof, looking at some numbers over the week. We saw the European roadshow come to a conclusion. That was running last week. Number of stops. We saw Beeple show up at one of the locations. And we have further links out to more of a summary from Bitfloor's Ghost, our curator for Proof. House of First has made a number of announcements. If you're in this ecosystem, you may want to take a deeper look. There's a burn notice. There's a new Season 2 Open Edition and a new collection being announced by the artist Rachel Winter. More details on all three news items on our newsfeed. If you own a House of First, make sure to take a look at that. In terms of VFriends, we have the Feature Holders Toy Claim. We talked about this a week ago when those toys came out, that the featured toy owners will be able to claim the toys for free. We also see international availability for these toys. Checking out the Macy's site, you can now ship internationally. I think that's a limited time deal. We have links to the full details on this and the blog post from VFriends on our newsfeed. World of Women had a fairly busy week. Matoshi, our curator there, has provided us some information. There were a number of spaces. We saw an initiative to celebrate International Day of the Girl, where they pledged to lead 300 girls into Web3, give them their first NFT. We saw the WoW Awards announcement that's going to be kind of announced at the gala in Miami for Art Basel. The tickets are open tomorrow. We'll remind you about that tomorrow. Matoshi has put a news item there with information on how they will be claimed. Like I said, we'll keep you updated on that as we get closer to that claim start, and we'll make sure to claim those before that expires. Moving on to 10KTF, also curated by Matoshi. It's been a bit quiet over here, but we have had some, ancillary news and drops. We had the Kagami drop. That one looked like if you made that allow list, you made a nice, pretty penny there if you wanted to flip it, or you're holding a nice piece of RL merch. We saw that, a bunch of OGs were complaining that, hey, like I was an OG, I was in this Discord for a long time, and I didn't get a chance to get on that allow list. Like, what gives people could just kind of jump in, complete the missions, and at a minimum requirement, and be valued over me. And they sort of threw them a bone. I don't know if it's because of the discontent, but they're now airdropping comfy hoodie tokens to redeem the physical comfy hoodies. So there's been a lot of speculation on when these would drop, how they would drop, but the OG Discord roles, they're going to be getting the first chance at those. We'll talk about that a bit later. There's a pre-mint and some more information linked out there. You can connect your wallet. It'll check your roles, and then you will be getting that airdrop of the 1155 token that lets you redeem one complimentary physical comfy hoodie. So there is no charge there for that price.
Ray, we wanted to share here. It looks rather slow as far as the action on 10K TF, the Kagami drop. Only I know it's an 800 collection as of now, 800 items. I don't know if that's the final amount, but you're sitting at a floor price of 1 ETH basically, and it was at about 1.4 when I first saw it drop. So it's continuing to drop. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts here, but just wanted to share this really briefly.
Yeah, so there is going to be more supply. There's going to be a wait list, I believe. They're going to be allocated. So I'm showing here our news item from Matoshi that we covered on Friday morning, that there's going to be a wait list. It's going to be allocated today. So additional wait list spots are allocated today. So if you entered in that premium, there's another chance. I think it's a little bit more than 800, but I think it's less than 1,000 in terms of total supply. So interested to see what's going on there. I guess you were showing me that it had a bit of a dip in price since mint, but I think the mint price on that wasn't super expensive, right? It was like maybe 0.7 compared to where it was before. I'm trying to figure out if they have the mint price on the pre-mint. So $200 in ape, and if ape's at say $5, that's $1,000. So less than an ETH. You're still turning it around for a bit of a profit right now, but I think, like you said, it did run up to 1.4 initially. Maybe those people who are on the wait list may be jumping in if they don't win that opportunity, or maybe just everyone who's interested already grabbed it.
Yeah, we'll be interesting to see there. We'll see that play out over the week.
Yep, definitely, and it'd be interesting to see more like I don't know if they have the actual physical good manufactured, or they're just showing prototypes at this point. I'd be interested to see what that looks like in a real life scenario, because I think it could be fairly interesting and a decent collectible piece of art. Moving on, though, we have Red Sox Guy with his Cool Cats weekly summary. He summarized the Cool Cats and Animoca brands space from earlier in the week, talked about some of what they talked about there, reminded users that there is a raffle open for cats to appear in comic number 2, 10,000 milk per entry. You can enter up until 12 p.m. Eastern today. So you have about another hour and 15 minutes. Head over to Cooltopia. Make sure you enter in that if you want your cat to have a chance at appearing in comic number 2. There's also a Halloween poster contest you can interact with on Twitter. He provides all of the instructions on the newsfeed here as well. Moving on to artifacts.
Very quickly, Ray, that just one. So I hate to jump in here again.
No, you're good.
Cool Cats seen a little here. They topped out at 3.6 last week. The listings were in the red. I know we talked about it very briefly. They bottomed out at 2.7, and now they're trending back up a little bit as the listings are going down. But something to monitor here. Volume has dried up a little bit, so it seems like the little bit of a Cinderella run that they had for the Cool Cats might be going into a little bit of a just hibernation as the volume has dried up. So just something to monitor there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that graph right there. It looks like listings have went up, 10% or so, and it's nice that they've steadied. They've almost peaked at this point. We see floor price going down, listings going down. Like to see that if that continues to trend. Should be something we can monitor. Probably monitor Cool Pets as well for a lower entry point. Take a look at both of those and see if it's maybe time to throw a WETH offer in.
Yeah. Yep.
Moving on to Artifact, I saw a good amount of news last week. We saw all the side quests take place. We didn't see much movement in the close, though. They've dipped from their highs. We saw the first side quest kick off, solved fairly quickly, and then teased a bit of the luggage collab. We're on top of that on the newsfeed. JKB doing a great job keeping us plugged in with the Artifact ecosystem. We saw the video that revealed the incubation. We saw the Animus announcement. We saw an interesting little back and forth on Twitter on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday. Looks like it was Thursday. And you had to interact with an AI worm on Twitter, answer different polls. We made sure to announce that when that was happening for all of our Artifact holders. If you were interacting with that Twitter, I think they said that that's going to be part of the requirements to either get a future drop, or maybe it's the Ramoa drop, maybe access to that drop. So it'll be interesting to see how they collect those responses, see who answers, see who interacted with those tweets, and reward them. But we were on top of that. As soon as those tweets went out, we sent you right over there to make sure that you were on top of that and entering in those actionable items. Moving on to Doodles, bit of a quiet week here. We saw the announcement of the Doodle Putt in Miami, new live brand experience. Should be interesting to see for sure. I know that they've done well with those live events. Interesting to see what's going on there. We saw a few Doodle Bank proposals, one coming from the Noodles team, developing a game. It passed quorum. So there's more on the bounty programs, more information about that linked out here as well. Also today would be Doodle's birthday, so maybe there'll be some fun announcements or other news today. So keep an eye on. To talk a bit about Azuki, I missed the show on Friday. I haven't been able to catch up on market talk, so maybe you can plug me in on what we talked about there. But we did see the collector's profile released. We saw, that video showing the golden skateboard that was released by Azuki as well. We saw some big Spirit sales. We've been seeing a number of these big Spirit sales. We've talked about that a bit. Looking at the Azuki collector profile, I have my bean here that I got the other day. I took a brief look. I did see that there was some actionable items in terms of what you need to be doing on the collector's page. So it's saying set up collector's profile in the first week. So if you do own Azuki assets, make sure that you're hopping on this week, jumping in, setting up your profile, attaching your Twitter to get this badge. Maybe they're going to use these badges similar to how 10K TF has done in the past. Being able to acquire as many badges as you can is going to be very valuable and has proved to be very valuable in the 10K TF ecosystem. So if it's something that takes a bit of time or is pretty easy, like why not just jump in and provide that information, take those actions.
One of the things that Owen was talking about, I don't know if you can go back to that page, Ray, what he kind of shared that this did make him excited. He liked it. It was a longer term play, he thinks, but it's one of those things where now if you get these people all in one place and you're able to connect their holdings to their Twitter and their social media, how it's going to bring that community closer together. And you notice that some of the sales that were coming in above floor for Azuki and Beans were to fill in some of those emblems and badges at the bottom. So he said that was kind of a play that he was seeing play out. Although one of the things I was curious about is, doesn't Moonbirds basically have this something like this already built out, and they had it basically since they minted out?
Yeah, and I think this is more full featured and seems to have some other gamification in it. So I mean, looking at the two, I mean, you can definitely compare them. You take a look at my nesting page and my bird here. We're going to get gold nest in a couple days. Also, a newsworthy item. We'll be talking about that more the next few days. They do, have what you own, what spawned from you, and some additional information about traits and percentage of traits. They do have these rewards here, and I believe they have badges based on events you went to. I used a different wallet to attend the event, so it's not showing up here for me. But when you're tying in these traits to different badges that you may hold, they may do some interesting things here. It just seems like there is a bit more potential here and a bit more. It's a bit more fleshed out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we did talk a bit. I'm just filtering by Azuki now, on our news feed. You can view all the news in a feed. You can also sort by or filter out by different collections and filter out by tags. Owen talked a bit about, the collector's profile and also Proof of Skate, where they showed the video with the skateboard relic. They then further announced that there's going to be an installation in Hong Kong, October 19th to 23rd. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at that installation, what that looks like. Another interesting thing is, a lot of times or previously at some of these IRL events, they've, announced something big, or like they did Beans airdrop at the end of the one in LA, I believe it was. So something to watch out for. We may have some announcements there. Definitely taking a look at that. I see you brought up the graph for the Azuki ecosystem. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, you saw on Friday, it looks like the market was expecting some sort of pump or was speculating based on that third installation coming in. There would be some sort of reasonable news that would pump their bags. When that didn't happen, you saw listings go from 678 all the way up to 784. And with that, the floor price going from 10.25 down to 9.95. So a little bit of a dip there. Listings are steadying out, and Beans kind of did something similar. I believe Beans are sitting at a 0.9 ETH floor. But I do think that it is a little bit of an overreaction. I think that could be a Azuki laying the foundation for something big or something to come in the future. I don't see them being able to go into Q4 without, or the rest of Q4 without adding something or coming out with some sort of news. So something to monitor there.
Yep, and still patience play. Maybe find another entry point for another bean. I think the big thing is that VC announcement and beans potentially being tied into another collection, Dark Azuki, some sort of other collection between Azuki and beans. If beans has a role in accessing that, there's definitely going to be some price movement. That's kind of the bet at this point. Yeah, we did see a drop off here over the last day. We've seen a drop off in listings. We've seen the sales. I mean, pretty steady. Like the sales have been going up. This is the yellow line here over the last, since the beginning of October. The sales have steadily been trending up. We've seen, uh, listings trend up with it, but now we're seeing listings begin to drop a bit. Floors continuing to drop. I know we pretty much talked about this 0.7, 0.8 point to get in before. If you see that, I'm definitely a buyer. It may be a few weeks before we see any more news. They kind of space these out a few weeks at a time. I'd be interested to talk a bit more with Owen about what's going on in that ecosystem, as he has such a good finger on the pulse of Azuki. Jumping back to the newsfeed, though, we have some more information coming from World of Women. There's a Halloween contest. Details are announced on our newsfeed. I believe it is you have to cosplay as your World of Women Galaxy. Choose one from the World of Women Fund. It's open to everyone, even non-holders, 3 minted, and they get a World of Women Galaxy each if they win. More details and links are provided there on the newsfeed. We talked about the Comfy Hoodie preview, or the Comfy Hoodie drop. There's a Comfy Hoodie preview that Matoshi has linked. This is an unofficial check, so you can enter in your NFT number for the hoodie that you own that you would want to submit, and it will show you what the rarity is and what it would potentially look like. So interesting there. We talked a bit about the gala and the spaces that were had earlier in the week with that rundown. We saw Wolf Game drop a little bit of a teaser. Normally these are very cryptic, but this one was a bit more solid in that, hey, there's going to be something else coming for the alpha game. So that's the game that's been running since the beginning of this year. It's when everyone has their stakes or their sheeps staked, and that there were a few different challenges in between it. There was some social media stuff. There was some who can burn the most wool, I believe, or who could achieve the most wool at different times. So there's one more challenge awaiting. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. They are pretty cryptic with these, but I think this one shows that there is one more event on the horizon coming with Wolf Game in that alpha game. I wonder if it's going to be some sort of risk game. I know when they migrated pouches over, I believe, or when they finally allowed you to access your sheep. I can't remember exactly which one, but there was a risky game to earn the wool that you've earned from having your sheep and wolves stake, and it was a choice. You could either risk and get a 3x, or there's a chance you would lose it all. And it was they do a lot of these risk games where there is potential for loss, and
Right.
they do a good job of burning supply over time, because if more people are losing these or taking a lesser value of the wool, you're going to have less wool in total circulation. So I wouldn't be surprised if they run some sort of risky type game for alpha game to claim your wool pouches. I don't know if this will be it necessarily, but something to look at for sure. We have a few mintless raffles available for Zen Academy. Head over to the pre-mint links we provide there and enter in. Always good to take a no risk opportunity. We have an announcement from Quantum Key about an NFT drop called Spectrum from Brian Vu, 30-piece photography collection, dropped over the weekend. We have a Phygital t-shirt launch. We talked about this, the Imaginary Ones Hugo Boss collab. That merch sale is going live on October 18th, tomorrow. So for each merch purchase, you're getting one allow list to the upcoming Hugo and Imaginary Friends NFT collection. So something to keep an eye out for there if you're in those ecosystems, or if you have faith in those ecosystems, or you want to take a shot, potentially get some merch, and then it would provide you allow list to an upcoming drop. We saw Pac tweet a bit over the weekend on a few of his projects. We saw the Matter airdrop that came to merge holders. There's different mechanics involved. If you hold your Matter and your merge NFTs, they reveal, and then you can burn the revealed Matter to get antimatter. A lot of confusing stuff that doesn't make much sense to me, but is semi-complex on both a contract and an execution level that shows some sort of that is a bit impressive. So interesting to see there. I don't know what his game plan is or if this is the end game. And then we also saw that Lost Poets page feeding is coming to an end. There's another 15 days to finish their page feeding, renaming, and poetry sessions for the Lost Poets. Don't know much about that collection either, but maybe if you hold POC and you're reading this, you would understand a bit better what exactly he's talking about. Thankfully, I didn't jump into too many of those. I was fairly new in this space when these were being released. I think they were pretty profitable initially, but over time, there really has been a lot of confusion and, trying to figure out what exactly the end game or the final utility, or is this just art? Like what's going on with these projects? But like any project, we're going to keep you updated and we'll follow along on our news feed as news is leaked out, progressed, etc. We talked a bit about the collector's profile on Azuki already. We'll skip past that. We saw the Bored Ape Yacht Club experience go live in Sandboxed. It's now token gated. I tried to jump on over the weekend, but I was too late. Couldn't jump in before it was token gated. So at this point, only Bored Apes can jump in. They can earn sand rewards based on completing quests, jumping in there, doing some of the activities. So check that out if you're a Bored Ape holder. I was definitely interested to see how the Bored Apes would look in Sandbox. I think that would be one of the more well developed and fleshed out worlds in there. We talked about this a bit at the jump here. Magic Royalty is making creator royalties optional. They're also launching a promotion to waive their own platform fees. We're seeing a lot more of this move to zero royalties. I think these big marketplaces, especially Magic Eden, their really goal is to get as much market share as possible. And if there's going to be constant competitors jumping up that can offer 0% royalties or ways to circumvent royalties and lower fees, the traders who are really just in it for the flipping and trading, they're going to be going over towards those marketplaces. Your profit margins are larger. You don't really care as much about supporting the original community. It's really the collectors that are more incentivized to pay those royalties and to support the project founders. And I think we're going to see this battle continue to play out where, it's going to be a bit cat and mouse. I think we're going to see some collections both on Solana and OpenSea where they try to program different things in to combat royalty evasion. I see you're bringing up the charts for Magic Eden. Volume pretty low on that side as well.
Yeah, what I was bringing up was the floor price for DGods did dip. Not too much, to be honest with you. It was sitting at 280 pre-announcement, and then it went down to 247, 250. So you see a little bit of a dip there. I know I saw Easy talking about it earlier, how it wasn't things aren't looking good from a Solana point of view, and how things are kind of being lit on fire as far as the floor prices go. So yeah, I agree with you. I listened to that. They held like community spaces. They had like 1,500, 2,000 people listening all at once, which is a good amount. The thing that people were not happy with were the fact that Magic Eden had framed this as where it was like best for the overall community and how they're doing this too. They basically were saying that we're doing this for the best of the ecosystem and to maintain the longevity of it. And people are like, dude, just say you're trying to stay ahead in the marketplace race and just frame it that way. Don't try to come at us with that stuff. I know OpenSea as well announced that they're basically not going to be including Solana projects in their like marketplace or in their project rankings for a period of time. Also something interesting there because of their royalties announcement. So a few different pieces there, but I do agree with the marketplace, it will be that kind of race to zero to maintain that market share as much as possible.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder why OpenSea would do that. Do you think they would try to jump in and steal some of that Solana volume from people who would potentially want to respect the creator royalties? Definitely something to dive into and maybe take a look at throughout the day today. Over the weekend, we saw the Digidaigaku Hero reveal. The heroes were revealed. I was looking at this one, and I didn't know much about those heroes. So I was taking like a brief look to see like what happened with the floor. Was it like a normal reveal where you saw listings go up, a lot of sales, floor price drop, and you did see that pre-reveal 9, post-reveal 7. But then I was looking at like the listings, and I was like, there's only like 40 of these things listed. It's such a small collection, and there's really also no volume on it as well. Looking at like, I think there's only been a handful of sales on OpenSea since it's revealed, which is wild. 3 sales on Saturday, 2 sales yesterday, 2 sales today. So like these like low collection count, diamond handed communities that Digidaigaku is building, it's like very interesting to see that propped up floor price.
Mm-hmm.
And they continue to have some sort of value. Maybe they're getting a bit less liquid, but the floor prices are holding a bit. Maybe we can look at just Digidaigaku and see what's going on there as well. That floors continue to holding at 13. Talked about that on Thursday. When it was sitting at 13.6, how this is so steady. Listings are steady still. We can even zoom it in a bit. I mean, listings slowly trending up, sales, steady around a few a day. Floor from a high of 14.3 to 13, but it's still super expensive for one of these NFTs where they're, you keep getting these airdrops and they're not very liquid either. So I'm interested to see like what happens when the snowball starts. Like once people start undercutting and there aren't that volume of sales, are these going to drop, or are they going to be able to continue to offer catalyst after catalyst, airdrop after airdrop, news event after news event, and continue to stay relevant and keep attention?
Yeah, if you're able, I mean, I think this model, the overall model of having a really small collection, and if you're able to build like an insanely tight community and a team of all super fans of people that are like, hey, we believe in everything that you're doing, and you can continue to add value to them and keep them happy like Gabriel has been doing, then it's a really good model to build out, and it'll I think be something that more people adopt over time, as far as starting out small, doing a freemium. Don't even pay me while we're at it, and I'm just going to continue to drop value to you over time if you are that early holder. So I don't know, but yeah, I think it's a matter of, I don't know how sustainable it is. We are still super early, and a lot of this stuff is kind of data gathering mode. So it will be interesting to see that play out over time with Gabriel and Digidaigaku.
Yeah, don't pay me at first, and then take 10% of 8,361 ETH, so 836 ETH of revenue on just the Genesis collection. Nice little nice little payday to fund their development.
It's not bad.
Yeah, so interesting to see there. Continue to watch us. Continue to be in a bit of disbelief as well myself. How many rabbits can he pull out of the hat? He still has rabbits. they're still coming out. So we'll see how long it lasts. Coming from Adam Bombs, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. They did a bit of a Twitter takeover on the Adam Bomb Squad Twitter over the weekend. A account called Badam Bomb Squad, or a character called Badam Bomb Squad, kind of jumped on, was tweeting a bunch of stuff, was causing mayhem, talking shit, doing all kinds of stuff on their Twitter account, dropping memes, and then dropped a bit more details on what's going on. So there's going to be a new collection that's potentially teased. These Badam Bomb Squads released their own Twitter account, talked a bit. They've been shit posting for a while there as well. There's also a tweet potentially saying that, hey, like these may be burned. You may be burning these initial collections for the Badam Bomb Squads. Obviously, we're speculating a bit, but would be interesting to see with that bigger collection size. Maybe they're splitting it into two. Maybe taking some of the more common ones and allowing to burn them to go into a completely new collection. Interesting to see what's going on there. I would love to take a look at their charts, but I don't have that pulled up right now. You can probably check them out on OpenSea. And other big news, we saw Oni1 potential acquisition announced. Non-Fungible Films founder Cameron Mullane stated that they made a formal offer to acquire the IP and brand of Oni4. So we saw a bit of a price run here on Oni4 over the weekend. I think we saw them run up from 0.1 to almost 0.9, I believe.
Yeah, I have it right here. Whenever, so yeah, you saw them sitting at 0.3, but they had a little bit of a rumble from 0.24. Then they kept going up, and then what happened was that supply shock came in. You saw 235 listed, and that's what I think the advantage of having these older collections can do, because there's such a low percentage listed. It doesn't really take too much volume to send this thing to where it did like a 3x. It got up to 0.69 was not. It got up to I believe like 0.9, 0.95. I don't know if you have the analytics there with the OpenSea. But with it, the listings then shot back up, and then it did level off. It was a game of hot potato. If you bought in at 0.9, you definitely felt some pain there. And then now they're sitting at a 0.5 ETH floor. It will be something to monitor. It sounds like, to be honest with you, this is just speculation based off of the rumors. The overall market sentiment was like, hey, why are we pumping this just based off of this announcement? Non-fungible films didn't even sell out. I believe they sold 10% of their collection before they were like, hey, we're going to just cut supply and go from there. So that's what the kind of market sentiment was like on Twitter that I was seeing.
Yeah, it looks like we probably topped out around upper 0.9s here. You see a good chunk of sales in this range, and then it kind of fell back off a cliff down to 0.7 almost immediately, and now we're sitting back at 0.451. Still a 2x from where they were, but like you said, why does this matter? Like why did this news move the needle? So maybe there's something else behind the scenes that's to come, or maybe there's something I'm not seeing here.
I did catch those. It's interesting, right? Like I went in and I saw the tweet like 5 minutes after it had been posted, and I was like, oh dude, like this hasn't really pumped too much, hasn't moved too much. A little bit of an inefficiency there in terms of speed to market on some of those, like Friday afternoon or late. I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday when it was posted, but it was like sitting at 0.3, 0.4, and I was like, hey, should I just jump in here? And then I saw it run all the way up to 0.9 super fast because of that low supply. So definitely interesting to see there, similar to when CloneX had their incubation period teased, how it took a little bit for the market to actually catch up to it.
Yeah, and like good takeaway here is if you do have some of those older assets, you do have a sell point you would be targeting. I mean, list it with a longer, expiration date on it. Maybe it's something crazy like a 3 or 4x. You could catch some of these, supply shock events.
Right.
Moving on, though, we saw Tim Ferriss release information on his NFT drop. We've been following this one since the beginning. It's going to be called Project 555. 100% of the primary sale proceeds go to the Sai Foundation. It's Tim's foundation that is kind of like a futurology, investing in unsolved problems, getting into some interesting scientific and medical fields there as well. It looks like the total number of NFTs will be around 8,500. He's giving away a limited number of spots on the allow list to his newsletter subscribers. I have a link there that links you out to the newsletter, so you can subscribe to that. Once you do that, you can enter into the pre-mint. He says here, there's no planned utility, no planned roadmap, no planned Discord, but there might be a few fun surprises. He talks a bit about how it's not going to be a flippers project, et cetera, et cetera. I think he underestimates the NFT market and the speculation that would potentially happen if and when he drops this. It looks like registration for the pre-mint's closing October 21st, this Friday. So be sure to enter in. And I would recommend subscribing to the news list as soon as possible. If he's potentially looking at, hey, when do they subscribe? Does that mean they're going to be allowed in that drawing? I don't see any numbers for how many he's giving away on the pre-mint to see what kind of odds there will be, but something to watch for sure. Moving on to Jenkins the Valet, they released the lore portal. It's a page on their website that compiles all the Azurbala lore. It seems like, the bad days have not ended for Jenkins the Valet at this point. We saw the floor price continue to drop. We saw offers at 0.14 being, accepted this morning. I don't know if you have that graph up, Clemente. Taking a look at it, just doesn't look very promising. Listings continue to rise, floor price continuing to drop. This is a project that I think will eventually be one of those patience project contenders. I don't like how the listings are going up. One of the things I really liked about this project originally is that it was such a diamond-handed community. The biggest talk was like, hey, no one's selling, et cetera, et cetera. So I wonder if these are original community members that are fed up, or if they are, flippers who said, hey, my investment is just a dead investment. I want to get out now while I still can, while there's still liquidity. I'm going to continue to watch this. I think once those listings peak and maybe we see them start to drop, it may be time to throw in some offers.
Yeah, I jumped in around here. So I liked what drew me in was the listings going down, right? So they had that little listings increase, and then it slowly just trickled down. So I jumped in right here, right? So around 0.2, I had a 0.2 ETH offer accepted. But since then, it's kind of been steadily increasing. It makes me think like, hey, how diamond handed, how passionate was his community actually about it? And part of me makes me think like, okay, well, basically anyone that got in and minted was pretty heavily rewarded or was in the green. They didn't really go through too much pain. And other than right here when it went down to the 0.37, but you're still in the green if you minted, if you were one of those diehard fans. This at the first signs of kind of pain or some not great happening. A lot of them maybe got shaken out, so we'll see, and this will be the true test. I don't believe in it enough to say, hey, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to 0.12 and kind of DCA into it. I'm going to see what I end up doing with the one that I hold, but certainly I don't know if right now is the best time to get out when it's full panic mode, kind of.
Yeah, I think at this point you're just holding on for the ride. You're selling when it's potentially trouble. You're not maximizing your value. Maybe stay patient a bit there. I'm also looking at the original Writers Room NFTs and what they've done. Floor price October 10th was 0.54. Now we're sitting half of that. Those have continued to drop as well. So these are like the OGs who have held these tokens, or maybe could have been speculators who kind of went both plays. They went overall ecosystem play with the Writers Room, and they also grabbed the book as well. But interesting to see here as well. We'll keep an eye on this. There's definitely an established community. They definitely have done impressive things so far with the project. So I think, like I said before, it does have potential legs as a patience play where we can buy into the fear, buy into everyone panicking, and then maybe cash out when there is a bit of success, bit of a future catalyst. Almost done. Left. I know we're a bit over, but important to catch up on all the news over the weekend. If you hold any of these assets, if you're looking into any of these other projects, we're sure to keep you updated, keep you informed. Forgotten Runes released trick or treat details from Friday, October 28th to October 31st. Holders can trick or treat. Essentially, you can get free NFTs in addition to some other things. There are things like a comic as well. And this will be not only for Forgotten Runes holders, but also for partner communities. And we'll provide more information on those partner communities, what they can win, and how they need to interact as well. So that'll be happening at the end of the month, but details there. We'll release more as we get closer. And then Saturday, or maybe it was Friday afternoon, we saw Konami announce that they're building an NFT marketplace, which is interesting to see, a Web2 video game studio going that route. I went to their social media here to see how much they're talking about NFTs. It seems to be more gaming focused, but they do talk a bit about it on this article where they're talking about announcing, a platform for trading in-game NFTs. Definitely something that's going to be needed to bridge that gap between, Web2 gaming and Web3, having something seamless, having something easy enough, and not distracting from the gameplay itself. So interesting to see here. I know they were a big name in video game production when I was younger, with their releases on Sega. I haven't really followed the company much. I don't know what they've been doing. I think I don't know if this falls into your, hey, is this somebody older at the end of their career jumping in looking for revenue streams? But for sure, interesting.
Yeah, we'll continue to monitor that. Yeah, I don't know. But it will certainly be one of those that we see, hey, is this the end of the career? They don't really have too much to lose, so they might as well get into it.
Yep, definitely. So that wraps it up for the newsfeed news. In terms of non-newsfeed news, I know we talked about Nylings a bit earlier. I brought up loaded up a chart. You can save charts on our site. You can load them up at your leisure. Just taking a quick look at these. I know this data since the last time I've updated, it may not be as accurate as it is right now, as they're moving very, very quickly. But we saw a floor 0.15 on those Nylings. I've seen them moving. I've been getting all kinds of alerts, buys and sells on my Ninja Alerts feed from big people jumping in and out as there's a ton of volume here. Looks like we're sitting at 0.17 right now, continuing to move. OpenSea's analytics page, like every other time, gives me a 404 error. So still working out the kinks over there. We've seen a number of sales continuing to see listings and sales graph straight up. Let's zoom in a bit on that. Still getting used to this. It's definitely a little bit like nerds. in terms of their grass, but we've seen a ton of rise on the floor price. And we were looking at this before the show. Um, we didn't really see anything here that necessarily impressed us. Um, website is fine. It's well put together. The PFPs, they remind us a bit of like Invisible Friends artwork potentially. Um, maybe a bit more detailed than that. They have a little bit of doodles, color palette vibes, maybe some bokeh in there. So like trying to take the best of a few different projects, art styles, and combining it. Um, Interesting to see how these do. I mean, the roadmap is essentially, hey, it's art and in community, and hey, we have a qualified team. So this is one that if I minted it, I'd be patting myself on the back and selling right now. I don't think I'm buying into this pump unless there's something I'm missing here. Crazy that they've been leading the volume project. This is leading the OpenSea volume, basically essentially on art.
Yeah, no, it's exhausting, man. I have to say, it has seen like this stuff over and over again, and the market just continue to reward it when it's like, hey, what are they doing that's new, right? How many more PFP projects are we gonna have out here that go off vibes or go off community and say, oh, hey, we're gonna build a community, we're gonna do some X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I'm not touching these with a 10-foot pole, to be honest with you, but congrats to anyone that got in. And see how much longer it can run for.
Yeah, I still don't see like a ton of variance. I think they might be like kind of like
No,
they have a large amount that can appeal to a large amount of people, essentially. But I mean, I think not having like facial features is a bit odd. And I think that they all look very similar. I mean, I'm just filtering by the hair trade, obviously, but there's 115 of these, and none of them are really standing out from one another.
yeah, no, they look very similar for sure. Maybe they went for like, hey, yeah, let's go for as mass of an audience as possible. And I know sometimes when you go too many traits, the floor ones can look really poor. So they kind of try to avoid that with trying to simplify it a little bit.
Yeah. So I want to watch out for seeing a lot of volume there. We'll keep you alerted of projects that do have volume. Give you our take on them. We'll probably come back tomorrow and be like, why are these 1 ETH? so
Yeah,
we'll see how that plays out. So I know you talked a bit about genuine undead at the beginning of the show, Clemente. Do you have a bit more to jump in there and take a look at?
Yeah, I have two things to cover. One of them being genuine undead. Look, I mean, as far as genuine undead goes, I like this page because it just gives you the quick snapshot. Like, hey, what are the listings doing over the 1 day, the 7 day, and then the volume. So they're up 0.5 ETH over the last 7 days. Great run that they had. One of the big reasons why I think they got to that point was their listings didn't really move much. So when you see some of these floor pumps and you see some of these 2Xs, usually the floor kind of, or the listings run up with them. What was interesting with genuine undead is that print happened, right? Like you saw them hovering in the 0.3 range for a while, and the listings hovering, and then finally the listings went up, but then they went back down, which is interesting. So they're kind of like moving in this weird direction. But I don't know where they're going to go from here. I know one of the things that they did last week was the community voted to bump up their royalties up 2.5%. So that extra 2.5% would be feeding into a community wallet that they have that will allow them to do certain pieces. And I know Cryptopolis was talking about on the morning show that Lacoste is possibly looking to collab with them. I don't know where this will go from here. Definitely cool to see. I think it's too risky for me at this point, but I was eyeing them at like 0.5, and the community's like, hey, you got to jump in. They're very active on socials, and they're very active at getting people to buy into their vision. So we'll see if this continues, if they're able to continue to go from this free mint kind of miracle and Cinderella run that they've been going on. The other thing that I wanted to cover with you, Ray, was I know we talked about last week Ledger's snapshot and that they were going to be giving out this black on Black Nano X at that snapshot as of Monday morning. It ran up to, I checked last night, it was sitting at 0.37 ETH, that floor. And then post snapshot, we're now seeing at 0.3. So volume and the listings definitely came in right after that snapshot. It appears the market priced this snapshot at a 0.07 ETH floor. We'll continue to monitor that as it pans out. I believe they'll do it through a claim or an airdrop, but not sure where they'll go from here. But it was interesting. I know we were talking about it. I was thinking of getting in at about 0.32, 0.31, thinking that the market hadn't really priced it in, but it appears that volume came in and made it go up too, and priced at about 0.07.
Yeah, definitely. I think you were talking about a price point close to that. I listed my ledger coming into the weekend. I listed at 0.39. Didn't quite hit the pump. I was hoping to catch that and maybe buy back in. Like I said before, I'm not really as interested in the physical, more interested in the partnerships that they have. So if I could jump out, at this point, I believe it's locking in a slight loss and then buy back in. For a bit cheaper and then just kind of ride out that partnership wave. That was something I was looking to make a play on, but didn't quite catch that volume. Priced it a bit high. So now I'm just holding at this point. I don't think I'm buying. I don't think I'm doing much until that airdrop comes out and seeing, how the market's reacting to both the airdrop pass and the Ledger marketplace pass.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see play out. And yeah, if I get in 0.25 ish, maybe as more listings come in, I'd definitely I'd be happy with that price point. But other than that, Ray, that's all I have. I think we are wrapping it up for the day. It was a little bit of a longer show as it typically is on those Monday mornings. But guys, be sure to join us tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m. Pacific. For episode number 25 of the WGMI Morning Show. Thanks so much for joining us. Ray, I'll let you wrap it up.
Absolutely. Wow, 24 episodes down. That's awesome. If you like what you saw today, head over to WGMI.io, mint your all access beta NFT. This gives you access to all WGMI.io features through the end of the year. You get portfolio, get the news feed, get the data, charts, analytics. It's also going to act as your discount to getting future access to the site in 2023. You can send us a DM with the word newsfeed. We're giving away one free trial per episode we have. That being said, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the week. We'll get you prepped. We'll be here tomorrow. We're going to make